This is Coffee with Timmy. Hello, how are you? Welcome back to Coffee with Timmy. How have you been? Today I need to talk about something that's heavy on my mind. It's probably something that has been around. No, not even probably. It's been going on, but like in some of the things that I talk about, I'm getting into this a bit late. And for me, it's worrying. Some of it is not new to me. And some, like I just said, it's worrying. I want to talk about not virginity itself, like the title says. It's not really about the virginity part that I want to talk about, but about the loopholes that teenagers have found in it. Let's start. Let me just start. I think I might make more sense that way. Let's look at the word virgin. It's in just the word itself. It refers to something that is raw, something that is unused, It's still in its untouched form. Like when we talk about virgin oil, virgin olive oil, virgin hair. Just something that has not been used, that has not been changed from its original form. But when the conversation turns to virgins, if we're having a conversation, it's usually about the state of the sexual organs. And more often than not, it's about the female body. Staying a virgin has been a standard, I'll say, imposed on women by culture, tradition, and society. Or maybe they're all the same in this case. It's really a conversation that includes men. You don't hear anybody asking if a boy remained a virgin before he got married or even if he was a virgin. And that in itself says something. But again, like I said, it's not really what I want to talk about today. I don't even know how to go about this, so I'm just going to talk and hope that I'm not waffling anywhere. Historically, women were expected to remain pure, unsoiled and unused. This was an honor to the family, and it was seen also as a prized possession for the man that the girl would marry. And it was an honor for that family as well to marry a virgin, someone untouched by any other man. And you will see that there's never been anything. The men are encouraged to sow their wild oats, while the girl is not encouraged, but told, commanded, whatever word you want to use, to keep herself a virgin. I do wonder though, where do you think the men are going to sow their wild oats? And those girls that they're sowing it with, do they not matter? Okay, let me not go away from what I want to talk about. Let's do a little bit of historical background here. I actually did some research. I mean, I knew some things, but I wanted clarity on it. In the 60s, in the 1960s, this was a period of the flower girls, It was a period of freedom, self-expression. There was drugs, free love, and rebellion against anything that was seen by the young of that day as rules and regulations. This was the time when the baby boomers, those born between 1946 and 1964, after the World War II, that is, this was their time, that they were now young people. They wanted to redefine what they saw as conservative values. I mean, they were against wars. They wanted free speech. They wanted sexual freedom. And guess what? Yep, the revolution happened. And along with it came STDs, sexually transmitted diseases. There was an increase in multiple sexual partners. That nobody was blinking an eye about this anymore. And this contributed to the rise of certain infections. So it was not all bad, in the sense that because of the rise in STDs, it brought an awareness of the dangers in sexual matters, in free love, in having multiple partners. It brought an awareness of that, and especially with HIV/AIDS, and there was a move back to being monogamous, to monogamous relationships. And it seems now that we have come a full circle. In a world that now celebrates sexual openness, it's become common for women to publicly share how many people they've slept with. They post body counts. In fact, the posting of body counts seems to be sort of like a badge of honor. It's a strange kind of bragging right, which I will not ever understand. But anyway, let's go back to the issue of virginity. Can virginity be restored once lost? The hymen, this is a thin tissue inside the vaginal opening. When it's unbroken, it is traditionally seen as a symbol of purity. Break it and boom, you're not a virgin anymore. Just like that, you're not a virgin anymore. But that's medically inaccurate because the hymen can stretch or tear through exercise, through using tampons, riding a bicycle, and I'm told even riding a horse. And funny that I found out this one, when I say funny, not funny, like my friend will say, funny peculiar, I found it, that some girls are even born without one. So if you were born without a hymen, what are you going to use to show that you are a virgin? Some girls, on having their first sexual encounter, don't bleed. How do you show that you are a virgin? That you've never had sex with anyone, that you've never been with a man? Because that bleeding is seen in tradition, the societies, the cultures that hold this and actually check it. It's seen as a sign of you being a virgin. So what do? Do you cut yourself so that you can bleed? Anyway, there's because of this now, there is a growing number of women, of young ladies, women, of females that are now undergoing hymenoplasty. Now, this is a surgery that is used to restore the hymen, either by stitching it or actually recreating a new one with a tissue. You may say, why would they do this? Some women have experienced violent trauma to their bodies. They've either been raped or some were forced to have babies when they themselves were still children, which means at a very young age. Some of this led to tearing, some led to damage, and in order to fix their bodies, so to say, they go through this surgery. Some just want to restart their sexual history, and they believe that reattaching the hymen can give them that reset. And some women, after childbirth, they feel loose and they feel that they want to tighten up again. Whatever the reason, whether it's for self-esteem, it's for culture, it's what society demands, it's a belief that this will restart my life, turning over a new page, or maybe even opening a new book. Women are going through this surgery. What I do find, though, like I said, we've come a full circle. In recent years, women stopped wearing bras, right? In what they call free the nipple. This is it brings back the bra burning of decades past. It was followed, or I don't know, should I say was, or it's still been followed right now by what can only be the revival of the sexual revolution. Except that this time, it's on a larger scale. It is louder and it is messy. It is messy. I have no other word to describe it but messy. But tradition and culture still have a very strong hold. I find that girls are still expected to remain virgins until marriage, even though we see everything that is around us. Sex is right in your face in almost everything. Girls are walking around practically nude. The things that are allowed on media platforms now, it boggles the mind. Not just that it's allowed to be out in the open, but that the people themselves have no shame at all about saying or doing certain things or admitting to certain things in public to millions of people. Again, let me not divert from where I'm going. It boggles my mind. So, Girls are expected to remain virgin until they marry. Again, not required of boys. And they are finding ways to have their cake, as it were, and still eat it. What do I mean by this? Teenagers, young women, are engaging in extreme alternatives in order to stay virgins. You may call me a prude, and that's okay. I'm fine with it if you think I am. But I see that some girls, I'm finding out that some girls are choosing anal sex. Why? Because they believe that as long as the vaginal area remains untouched, they are still technically virgins. And they're engaging this. So this is my concern. This is where I am bored. This is what is bothering me. They're engaging in this act indiscriminately. Why? Because they believe it doesn't count. They are still virgins. So this one that they're doing doesn't count. In one sense, they are right. If you look at the fact that society basically just looks at the vaginal canal as proof of purity, and every other part of the body has become loopholes. That's it. It's become loopholes. I worry. I'm so concerned about this. I'm looking and I'm seeing or hearing from, my friend and friend of a friend of girls 14, as young as 14, who are engaging in anal sex. They don't understand the physical consequences of this. When they bleed, and some of them do, which is how friends know, okay? When they bleed or tear, they just suffer in silence. They don't visit doctors. Some of them can't even afford to visit doctors because for them, this is not a transaction. It's transactional sex now, okay? So they don't visit doctors. They will confide in another friend to, this is happening, and depending on their closeness, they tell them what they've done. But the bleeding scares some of them enough to tell somebody, okay? They're just not telling the right person. So they bleed, they tear, they suffer in silence. They don't use protection. Why? Maybe I should have called this why, because I'm asking so many why questions. Why? Because you can't get pregnant that way. You can't get pregnant that way. So this, and they found men or boys who like this kind of sex, and they feel that they're preserving their virginity and they're still being sexual. There are multiple boys, multiple men. There is no emotional connection, no physical protection, no guardians. I don't know which is worst of all of this for. Is it the fact that they have multiple partners, that they are disconnected from what is happening to their bodies, and they don't think they need to protect themselves? The only thing they're thinking is, I can't get pregnant and I'm still a virgin. So they don't even think of other STDs that they could possibly pick up. In a country where HIV is still a problem, these girls are totally, what would I use now? They're totally oblivious to what could happen to them. And I think that's another thing about youth, where you think, nothing can happen to you. Nothing can ever go wrong. Virginity it's still a real thing. Being a virgin is still a real thing. But over time, it has become just a personal thing for someone, like a milestone that you have to pass. And for some people, it's a measure. For families, for cultures, it's a measure of the kind of girl, the kind of woman this person is. For some women, they feel it's a pressure, which it's a burden on them, which is why if they've actually had sex, they then go for this surgery. And for others, it's just a performance. Oh, you want me to remain virgin? Okay. So I remain virgin. And some, I couldn't believe that some families check their daughters. At what age do you tell a woman to lie down? You want to check if my brain can't wrap around it. That you tell a girl another person. This is more than invasion of privacy. This is violating their body, because I'm not even sure how they check it. How do you check? Maybe in your checking, in your putting your fingers and whatever else where it's not, where it doesn't belong. Maybe in this you actually break the hymen. How do you know? But anyway, so this girl's figure, I'm still a virgin, and that's all that matters. So for some of them, it's just a performance. Whether you're a young girl, I do not know how many young girls actually listen to my podcast, but whether you're a mom, you're an aunt, you're a woman, you are maybe healing from your choices or from trauma, or you just are overwhelmed. Can one be overwhelmed by this pressure? Probably. And things have not gone the way your family expects, the society expects of you. May I say something to you today? There is more to you than your sexual history. You by yourself are valuable. Maybe you need to hear it. Maybe you need somebody else to hear it. You know somebody who needs to hear it. Share this with them. But where do we go from here? How on earth are we going to confront this? How do we speak to the Gen Zs, the Alpha Gen, who have been so misinformed, who have been overexposed, undercovered, spiritually, emotionally, and physically? How do we speak to them? If this podcast if this episode has spoken to you in any way, please share it with a friend. Women, let's start a conversation. We need to speak out. We need to speak about this. We need to help our women, our girls. And if you just want to talk about it or you have a comment, please drop it. I'll post this as a blog on my website, coffeewithtemi.com. So you can put your comments or even if you disagree with me, I'm fine with it. Put your comments there, and I would love to hear from you. Okay. It's been Coffee with Temi. Bye for now.